At more than £24 billion, the loss recorded by the Royal Bank of Scotland today is the biggest in British corporate history and deals another blow to the reputation of Scottish banking. And to add to the woes, there has also been widespread condemnation of the £650,000 a year pension being paid to the bank's former chief executive, Sir Fred Goodwin. Our business editor, Douglas Fraser, has spent the day at the RBS headquarters on the outskirts of Edinburgh, and he joins us now. Douglas.
Well, colossally big numbers we're talking about for what used to be a global colossus. As you say, £24 billion of losses, £325 billion insured by the government. And if that goes sour, that's coming back to us, the British public. So big problems at the Royal Bank of Scotland, no great surprise. And as you say, what was a surprise today is the scale of the pension that Sir Fred Goodwin, the former chief executive, is going to be getting. The big number, though, that's causing particular concern here at headquarters, and with 180,000 people who work for the Royal Bank around the world, is the figure £2.5 billion. Now that's the costs that they're going to cut out of annual costs for the Royal Bank of Scotland, with 20,000 jobs, perhaps more, going throughout the whole group. Now that's bad news for the bank, but it's also bad news for the Royal Bank of Scotland's home turf, as Louise Stewart now reports. What about Sir Fred's pension, folks? Any comments?
Staff stayed tight-lipped this morning as they arrived at work at Gogarburn, the bank's headquarters on the outskirts of Edinburgh.
£25 billion loss, the biggest in corporate history.
Meanwhile, in London, RBS announced yet more record losses.
The losses are of a scale that we didn't expect, and that is a result of RBS's vulnerability times the decline in the world economy.
The bank, which was bailed out by the government last year, has also come under fire over the pension for its former boss, Sir Fred Goodwin, who's 50. He'll receive £650,000 a year for life. There was no answer at his Edinburgh home earlier, but his pension dominated proceedings at First Minister's questions.
Fred Goodwin's contract probably does entitle him legally to this bumper payoff, although morally surely not.
On the day when RBS posts the worst losses in corporate history, on the day when billions more taxpayers' money is bailing out his mistakes, does the First Minister think that Fred Goodwin should touch a penny of that pension?
I've already made it clear I don't think the pension arrangements can be justified.
And it was met with anger on the streets of the capital.
I think it's absolutely disgraceful, and I think he should offer to take less, basically.
It's always the same with these sort of things. People at the top look after themselves and everybody else suffers the consequences.
I think it's disgraceful. Absolutely disgusting.
The Chancellor, Alistair Darling, is calling for him to hand some of it back, threatening to take legal action if he fails to act voluntarily. The pension row and record losses have brought Scotland's once highly regarded banking sector into disrepute, and it's a blow to the economy.
I think in the Edinburgh economy we might be looking at perhaps between 5,000 and 10,000 job losses. That's substantial. It's going to be something that people notice. I think what's more likely, though, is that there will be a lot of people who are uncertain for quite a long time about whether they are going to have a job or not.
But ministers are confident the Scottish economy can be rebuilt.
There's great skill and ingenuity in the Scottish financial sector. Edinburgh is still a world centre of expertise in financial services, and we can come through this.
But the markets are bracing themselves for more bad news tomorrow, with Lloyds Banking Group announcing their results. HBOS is expected to make a huge loss, and the group will also be under increasing pressure to follow RBS's lead of last week and limit bonus payouts. Louise Stewart, reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
Douglas, Sir Fred Goodwin has given his side of the pension story tonight, and he's made it absolutely clear he has got no intention of giving away on that deal.
Yes, an extraordinary development this evening, the release of this letter to the Treasury Minister, Lord Miners, to say, we discussed all this. You knew very well what this deal was last October when the government bailed out the Royal Bank of Scotland and Sir Fred was pushed out of that top job. So that's deeply embarrassing for the government that it knew but didn't do anything to stop this deal. It says it would be a good gesture. The government says it would be a good gesture if Sir Fred were to step away from this commitment, but he says he's given enough gestures already. He already forewent his severance deal of over £1 million. So this is a fluid story. There may be further developments, but one thing is already very firmly established in this, and that is Sir Fred Goodwin's role as the chief villain in this extraordinary and very expensive drama.
Douglas Fraser in Edinburgh, thank you. A retired QC has